One of the important things that we need to understand when it comes to being an art college is that we're not talking about, as you know, paintings and making things look nice. We're addressing the original intent of what art used to be, which was art was a way of creating knowledge. Art is one of the richest forms of knowledge creation. Originally, the reason why art even existed is because there's so much information that needed to be collected without writing. And art was the way in which you bring all of that together. If you wanted to tell your children how nature works, or your family history, or how to deal with conflict, you may embed that knowledge into a dance, or embed it into a symbol, or you may embed it into a song. This was not created by an elite. This was not created by like sets of people who are far away from a society and are more talented than anybody else. This was invented by everyday people during their everyday lives. It's only after writing got introduced as the main way knowledge is created. Those embodied ways of holding knowledge, dance and poetry and all that kind of stuff, began to be separated from creating knowledge. And then you started to have like your elites, right? Your artists that keep it and keep it alive. What we're trying to do is like, we're trying to basically build venues that allow people to locally develop their voices, not just in a small sense, but in a way where it can have like infrastructural impact. At very least, it's 3 to 8 people, the same way how you'll have a local football team or a local book club, but the goal is different. The goal is 2 things: to study and create things in order for them to develop their voice, and to be able to build infrastructure to help them keep their voice alive. We aren't talking about having a nice youth club. We're not talking about having nice art classes. We're trying to build an institution that generations can pass on to other generations. So you don't reach your creative peak at 20. You're discovering and building new language throughout your lifetime, and you're able to pass it on to younger children to be like, all right, what do you say and what would you build with this?
You defined art as creating knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then that means that art is documentation, and people who document don't consider themselves to be artists. Because the narrative of being an artist means I'm selling really expensive paintings in a museum that's super prestigious, and I have cocktail hour with my friends that come to my opening show, right?
Yeah.
So I think that one of our main tasks, and this is kind of how the work in like Freedom and Balance has unfolded since we started strong last year, is that people who don't consider themselves to be creatives have that one shift where they're like, oh, I write. Oh, I think, and I can actually write it down. Yeah. So that must mean that I can ground myself in my own truth. I think that's the point. It's not about art. It's about the narrative. What we know of art to be isn't what me, you, Nabil, know art to be. We're trying to get the definition of it to go from this to this, so that people can find space to talk about their own narrative. Like right now, if you go to Shoreditch, there's people in marketing departments, right, who are considered to be creatives. And a creative that has a secret portfolio at home is not a creative because they work at a bar. This is like the real world right now, right? We don't need a massive platform with 10K listeners. In the way that you were saying, local creative agencies of 3 to 8 people. The first step is like, find the 3 to 8 people. Make sure they stick and they're committed and they're accountable into like creating this culture for themselves first. And then think about the masses, because it's personal work, right? It goes from like within, and then you start branching out, not because you want to be a savior, but it's because you become an advocate for your own life.
There's so much unlearning that we still need to do in terms of what creativity achieves and what you use it for. Because it's still, in so many people's eyes, it's the superpowers like, oh, we are the creatives and we know. Like, it's do you know what I mean? We're intergalactic, like, and it's not that. Do you know what I mean? It's not that we are. This is just a literacy. It's a literacy, right? It's like knowing how to read and write is very helpful, but it like not everybody who reads and writes is savior of the world. I think it's almost like de-branding power, isn't it?
It's almost like identifying the power that's surrounding you already.
Yeah.
Because like it's so strong. I've
Mm-hmm.
I had this thought like yesterday, today, I can't remember, where so my grandma passed away recently, right? And I've started cleaning up her house so that we can be going there to stay somewhere close with my uncles and other members of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking this, that she has like a couple of fans from like holidays that she went to.
Yeah.
She wasn't planning of taking those fans with her after she died. They're there for me, and I'm carrying on her story now.
Yeah.
That's power. Her story is power because now I've got that fan. And it's not about the like status that it's going to give me.
Yeah.
It's about the depth of the story. When
Yeah.
things become sentimental, it's because they've got story. They're
Yeah.
not just like a superficial paid partnership with someone.
Yeah.
You know, things are like, they're like tailor-made to your own fabrication of power. Because I think there's something in there of like actually identifying what you don't consider to be your own power, but it actually being your own power. Your toaster is your power. Your coffee maker is your power.
Yeah. Toast.
Your important Zoom calls are your power because that's your local creative agency.